Yeah. Milo Yiannopoulos is here.
Hello.
Always good to speak to you.
Thank
Always
you
good
so
to see
much.
Milo. It's got some speaking tours coming up. First off, the podcast, The Milo Yiannopoulos Show.
Well, inspired by you.
Thank you, man. And you can hear that every Friday on iTunes as the speaking tour, Dangerous Faggot Tour, out as we speak. UC San Diego coming up, and then E3 in Los Angeles as well. That's June 6th and June 14th. So causing a lot of controversy. It's a weird place that we're at, Milo. I was reading or hearing about the newspaper this morning, and we had shootings at UCLA.
Yes.
And all the LA Times just said 2 dead at UCLA. That's not the story. It's professor murdered. Like, let's stop cleaning everything up. How would you like to be the children of the guy who was murdered, and you're just lumped in like, oh, someone, there must have, a Bunsen burner must have fell over in the lab and 2 people died. 2 dead is a construction accident.
Just this is murder. This outbreak of spontaneous heart attacks.
Yeah, why? What are we doing with language?
Well, I don't know that. I saw some of the reporting about UCLA, and they do report it weirdly. I think they report it weirdly because, of course, right at the beginning, it's like, oh, it was a straight white male shooter. Like, heard that before. Ends up, no, it's some guy with some weird name. I don't know if he's Hindu or Muslim or whatever. But you know, they first of all, they want to sort of out of nowhere, so they were trying to associate me with it because I'd spoken there the day before.
Oh, really?
And they couldn't get anything on there, so nobody dared to tweet or publish anything on that. But I sort of heard some rumblings and rumors, and I'm like, don't even dare. Don't even think about it, people.
Was there a bomb threat?
Well, I had a bomb threat at my talk the night before, and then you got all these like feminists on Facebook being like, yeah, this hideous right-wing misogynist hate speaker, here, and there's a bomb threat. And the next day, 2 people are dead. What do you think happened, people? I'm like, what? So he's completely unconnected to events and trying to connect them. But then these people sort of say, oh, it was a straight white male shooter, when of course it wasn't. And now we discover he's got some strange name. I don't know where he's from. And the coverage suddenly becomes vague. For this specificity initially, suddenly when you discover that it's not the shooter that you wanted, the progressives didn't get the killer they wanted. Now it's all become very vague.
But I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it's weird even to talk about anymore, but whether it's Trump and I'm watching footage a few weeks ago, and he's in New Mexico, and there's just guys standing in front of the cops holding their middle finger out, just standing like 21-year-old guys just standing right in front of the cops or full riot gear and just telling them to F themselves, and violence all over the place over words and ideas by the very same people that were the tip of the spear on the nonviolent movement, march, speak your mind. People have the right to share an opinion, even if it's not popular, especially on college. I understand if violence broke out on a naval vessel or someplace like that, or even a football game. This is a campus where the whole notion is the sharing of ideas. Some
that's not
aren't
really
the same as what's in your head, but
that's not really what the American college campus is for anymore. That's not what American universities do now. It used to be the case when we invented universities in Europe a very long time ago. That, or at least the modern version of them, that they were places to be challenged. They were places to make yourself uncomfortable, places to challenge your prejudices, places to explore new ways of looking at the world, to discover new thinkers, new ideas, new theories, new philosophies, new ways of coming to understand the world around you, new prisms through which to explore your humanity and literature and art and music and all the things that matter, and new ways to come to understand science and the stars and all the rest of it. Universities these days seem to be, their primary purpose has become, I think, a sort of home from home, a therapy center, somewhere kids go to feel safe and loved and have their prejudices reinforced and not challenged.
Right.
I'm on a tour at the moment.
But can I just jump in here? And what I can't figure out is, musical acts play campuses.
Yeah.
So if I find out, fellow countrymen, Duran Duran are playing my campus, I'm not going. because
you'll protest.
They write a bunch.
You're going. You just won't go inside. You'll scream outside.
They've got a bunch of horrible songs that personally offend me. Like as a music lover, I am personally offended by the music Duran Duran puts out. So
I don't think I've ever heard a Duran Duran song.
I would not attend.
You need a safe space in your dorm room.
The show. I would instead attend a bar off campus and get drunk.
Right.
So I don't get it. So I disagree with them. But if John Hyatt ever shows up, then I'll go to the John Hyatt concert. What is the big deal? That's the whole point. Just don't go.
Well, this would have been the sensible thing, you know. If you're the sort of person that does not like to have your opinions challenged, then perhaps you shouldn't be at university anyway. But if you really must be there, then yes, the responsible, appropriate, mature thing to do would be simply not to show up.
But using violence and calling in bomb threats and stuff, does anyone get the...
You absolutely do not have the right to rock up and, as happened to me at DePaul University in Chicago last week, to storm the stage, to snatch microphones, to physically threaten speakers. And in that case, it was Black Lives Matter, and because they're black, nobody dared to haul them off stage.
Right.
Being black is their only marketable skill, but they use it as a sort of shield, as a sort of weapon, you know, sort of daring these white security guards and white police officers to touch them. Of course, they didn't. Campus security, totally hopeless. Refused to call it. Their idea now is, you know, if there's something, and they don't even know what I'm going to say.
This is more. Do we have footage of it? I believe it. I do believe Gary has that.
But at UCLA,
hold on, let's just watch this,
Sure.
and then we'll hear what you have to say.
It's because they're not there. There's nothing happened. I mean, hello, darling.
Guys blowing a whistle and coming up on
Please,
stage.
Sir, please. Sir, please.
We'd like to ask
So we
you
got
to
a-
please.
Brother blowing a whistle up on stage. The crowd's booing.
Sir, please.
What's he chanting?
Something about.
well, there was some
Trump?
chants going both
Sir!
ways. Somebody
Stop
was saying
the
something
Trump.
about Trump, and the Trump supporters were coming back with "Build the Wall" or something.
So security should just carry him off stage. No, she just
Well,
grabbed them. She grabbed the microphone away from the other
She snatched
gentleman.
the microphone, and then when I said to this guy, it's a clean show, so I can't say exactly what I said to him. But when I said to him, you know, when it calmed down a bit, oh, well, you're nice, you're just sort of nice window dressing for me now. We're getting on perfectly. You know, if you weren't such an obnoxious XYZ, I might even come on to you. And he wandered up to me and went, "Don't try me. I'll lay you out."
Yeah.
And I said to security, this guy is just like threatening to hit me. You're going to get him off stage. No.
Well, listen, again, back to Duran Duran. If somebody gets up on
It always comes back to
all
Duran
roads
I'm not completely sure I understand this analogy.
They
yet.
all lead to Rio. Look it up.
Lines along the sand.
Now listen, if somebody jumps up on stage when Jon Stewart is doing a stand-up routine, then somebody comes running off from the wings, and the guy usually doesn't make it 8 seconds.
Correct.
But this is a politics thing. This is the universities, the institutions, the faculty, the deans, most of these student governance bodies are so in hock to this crazy social justice, progressivism, the feminism, the Black Lives Matter, that they believe that alternative points of view, and not even conservative points of view, libertarian points of view, they believe that, I mean, me as sort of gay, semi-conservative, libertarian, well, I don't know what I am, you know, this is so dangerous because we bring that little thing called facts and evidence and reason and logic and argument rather than virtue signaling and offense-taking and grievance
So there was security.
It's a risk to them, you know, it's such a risk to them, so they won't allow us to even to get through 15 minutes of a talk because they're so terrified about what we might say, which to my mind, tells its own story.
There was security there, right?
Well, there was security there paid for by the College Republicans and by me. You know, what these universities do, one of the slimy ways they try to get events cancelled without actually cancelling them because it would bring bad press, is that they will land students with huge security fees really close to the event. So what DePaul did to these poor college Republicans is they said a week before the event or 5 days before the event, oh, by the way, it's going to cost you like $3,000 for security. And the college Republicans are like, wait, what? So they come to me panicking and terrified, and they say, well, we've done a crowdfunder, we've raised as much as we can, but we're still like $1,000 short. So I said, don't worry about it, I'll cover it. So I'm effectively in a contract with the university to provide me with security. They refused to remove somebody from stage who physically threatened me. They refused to remove somebody from stage who had snatched a microphone from the other speaker. I mean, these are, by your laws in America, both assault. But these are both perfectly clearly assault.
To me, it's like
they just won't get rid of them.
There's no, you don't need threat of assault or anything else. It's just they've charged a stage. They need to be removed from the stage. They don't need to be shot. They need to be physically removed from the stage, like they do in every other event on campus or off campus.
You would think so.
We go play a nightclub. A drunk guy gets up on stage. Some bouncer will go take him off the stage. That's how they do it.
The problem is that universities haven't just tolerated; they've actively encouraged and enabled, and even in some cases funded these groups on campus to be exhibitionists and attention seekers, to believe that they are entitled to disrupt and to destroy anything that they don't like the sounds of. Universities are enabling this stuff. They're using tuition fees to create safe spaces and places where you can go and sort of lounge around on pillows and watch videos of puppy dogs if a conservative speaker traumatizes you so much. And I suppose I'm the leading culprit at the moment of this.
It's such a
infantilizing these kids.
I know, but it's a weird Alice in Wonderland kind of feeling, which is, this is an event that takes place in an auditorium that you don't have to be in. Mm-hmm. It's so insane that we've got to the point where you can't just walk past it. They have all black fraternities and most of these campuses, don't they, these days, Brian?
Well, they're asking for them.
But that's, or either have them or they are asking for them.
Black Lives Matter has many of the same objectives as the KKK. They want segregation, they want racial hatred and division, they want, stoke up resentment and distrust and hatred between the races. I mean, they have different stated philosophies, but the world that Black Lives Matter wants to build is not so different from the world that David Duke wants.
All right. Yes, Gina.
Yeah, I'm wondering, just from that 8-second clip, it's hard to make a huge judgment, but you see a lot of white males in the audience. I assume that's the majority of the audience that comes. Do you get women? Do you get people of color in the audience that are supportive?
Loads. And in fact, just after that video, a black girl from the College Republicans, I invited her to the stage, and she said, I don't believe in this. I believe in self-reliance. I believe in self-improvement. I believe in working hard and not, this kind of attention-seeking, lazy, grievance-driven, whatever. And in response to that, they called her a white supremacist.
Mm.
And I said, I said on stage, if you're standing here saying that hard work, self-reliance, aspiration, and and a work ethic are white values, who's the racist here?
Yeah. Aunt Tammy. Do you have Gary? Remember, I don't know why I'm going nuts with this, but the whole 2 dead on campus versus murdered professor, which is what the headlines would have read back when we tried to turn everything into something other through verbiage that it wasn't. And it's not an accurate depiction. You're a newspaper. You're supposed to be kind of telling what happened. And what happened was a professor was murdered. But I had our mayor, Eric Garcetti, gave a news conference about a week or so ago, and he was explaining on Memorial Day, actually, and he was talking about some folks that you thought would have been veterans. It turns out they were felons, but he was giving this speech because there's this whole new thing too, which is everyone in prison was just railroaded. And my feeling is that happens, but I'm not down with the concept of everyone who's in there should be out because there's some sheriff named Buford who went and railroaded them in there. Buford. That's right.
Do you know there is a movement from British students to abolish all prisons because they are structurally racist? So they just want to close the prisons.
I'll tell you, it's right up there with you do know Chumbawamba, right?
I do, yeah.
They just want anarchy. And it's like, what's your plan? It's like, we want anarchy. And they're like, why? And they're like, that's how it should be. And it's like, well, who's going to buy, how are you going to make a record? And then they should take it, but who's going to pay to make engineer the record? No one. Well, all of us, everyone, nothing. Like, look, you got to present a plan. It can't be no prisons.
A, we get knocked down. B, we get back up again.
That's right.
Repeat.
All right. Listen to what Garcetti, what he was talking. We was talking about felons. What do you call them?
When we invest in people, we don't know where things will turn out. But when people have paid their debt to society, our debt of gratitude should be not just thanking them for serving that time, but allowing them a pathway back in.
All right, so not only should we thank everyone who came out of jail, but our debt of gratitude. It sounds like he's talking about Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
Not folks that kicked in a car window and pulled a laptop out or punched somebody behind the counter at a convenience store.
Yeah, it's poor choice of words because you paid your debt, you served your time, you did whatever was told to do. You're ostensibly back to zero. Now we can start over again. Now
we should be paying them a debt of gratitude.
And also thank you.
Yeah,
these heroes.
That's where it gets a little wonky.
Please accept this humble gift.
This is
Play
like
one more
those,
time, Gary, just because it's mind numbing that they deserve our gratitude.
They're back to zero. Square one.
Gary will play it one more time. Just
when we invest in people, we don't know where things will turn out. But when people have paid their debt to society, our debt of gratitude should be not just thanking them for serving that time, but allowing them a pathway back in.
And
that's not thanking them.
Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me...
he's insane, right?
All of these, no, of course he's completely insane. But this reminds me, in Europe, we've got this sort of, the Muslim immigration crisis in Europe. Somebody got raped in Germany, and she put on Facebook, "I'm so sorry," she did a public Facebook post addressed to her rapist. This girl of about 20 said, "I'm so sorry that your life is so awful and that what we have done, Western imperialism has done to your country, that you have to come here and commit these terrible crimes as a way of expressing yourself. I'm sorry for what we did to you."
Wow. It's backwards world day.
It's so great.
I again, my whole thing is sort of upshot. Like, what is the plan? Like, where are we going? Yeah. I mean, whether it's the homeless problem or crime or what's going on campuses or whatever the discussion is, how would, if you had a magic, if some of these folks you're talking to had a magic wand, what would it be? All prisons disappear, no differences between everybody. Everyone who chooses to work weekends and holidays should take their money and give it to everyone who chooses not to work on weekends and holidays. Like, what is the upshot? Like, what are you really asking for? Again, to me, I swear to God, I had Chumbawamba in that studio, and I kept kind of trying to say to him, "You seem smart. Tell me how this is going to work, this anarchy. How does it work?" And they literally said, I said, "Who's going to fly the commercial aircraft?" And they're like, "Well, you collect garbage on a Monday, and then Tuesday you're an airplane pilot, and then Wednesday you're back to garbage." And it's like, how can that work? I don't get how it works, and I don't get how it's weird because nobody wants to call anybody stupid.
I don't mind calling people stupid.
Okay, but like,
I mean, the left is really stupid. They look out on a society. Why they look out? Let's take sort of Western democratic capitalism, the most successful engine of wealth distribution and equality in world history, a system that has raised entire continents out of poverty, a system that has given women the vote, a system that has given equal rights to blacks, gays, all the rest of it. Citizens in the West, in Europe and America, enjoy privileges and rights and equality unprecedented anywhere else in the world. And the left's response to this is tear down the institutions and principles that gave them those rights and return our countries to the sort of chaos and warmongering and internal divisions that exist in the rest of the world, where women are forced to wear veils and have acid thrown in their faces, where gays are hanged from cranes, where people kill each other over political disputes in the street. The left's response to the systems that have given everybody equal opportunities and access to the workplace, to education, to the public square, the system that we have built that has made us great, that means that America is the greatest country in the world, Europe has produced the greatest culture in the world, the system that enabled and produced all of that stuff is somehow the problem. I don't mind calling that stupid.
Okay, I'm with you, and I agree. When I talk to my friends on the left, there's plenty of faults we have, but big picture,
we're not that bad. We're really not that bad.
Well, not only that, but let's just do this. It's a little scientific experiment. When it goes down, when there's a massive earthquake somewhere, when there's a tsunami somewhere, when something goes on somewhere, where do they all come running to for the money, for the technology, for the expertise, for the planes, for the ships, for the food, for the way to get the food and the clean water? And where do they all come running to? Like, and I'm not just saying it's just the United States. There's parts of Canada that are involved here, not the French-speaking ones.
No,
but
the good kind.
But the point is, what societies,
Western democratic,
does
free
everyone
societies
go running for when the shit goes down? Well, that's all you need to know. We're living in a world, and there's earthquakes, tsunamis, and ethnic cleansing, and God knows what else. There's man-made and nature-made horrific events. When the event takes place, where do they all come running? Well, they all come running to the democracies who have capitalism, because those are the places that have the ships, the containers, the aircraft, the technology, the know-how.
But let's not forget, they're also the places that have the compassion to help the rest of the world. They're also the places that look out to the rest of the world, seeking to help and to raise the rest of the world up.
Okay.
Now, there's no question that capitalism is at least in part a system that is self-serving. But the consequences, the products, the effects of capitalism help everybody.
Okay, yeah,
and we also are nice, decent, compassionate people who want the rest of the world to enjoy the same freedoms that we do, which is the other reason people come to us.
Well, look, okay, so let's just do it. Let's just put it to you this way. You're running through a campsite and you're being chased by a grizzly bear, and there's a whole bunch of tents. And you pass by that one tent and you go, I'm not dipping my head in there because the guy's probably going to try to kill me because I'm an adulterer or because I'm gay or because I'm whatever. And he's not going to. And you pass by the next tent and you go, that guy doesn't have anything in his tent. There's no way he doesn't have a gun. He doesn't have a knife. He's got nothing in there but flies. We're not going to. And then you pass the next tent and you go, that guy's passed out and he's drunk. He's not going to help anybody. That tent, that guy's emaciated. He can't find. And then you get to the one that says USA or capitalism or Western Europe, and you go shoulder rolling into that tent. And then when you're in the tent, you go, what's wrong with you and your tent? Mm-hmm. That's our plan.
Yes,
to start picking apart the tent.
Your tent is just the product of heteropatriarchal, cis-het, white male supremacy.
Right.
How dare you?
But it's the only tent the world dives into when the big wars break out and the bears start chasing. So you dive into our tent, and then you start picking apart our tent.
We're at war with the bears?
That's right.
Oh, my God, Ron!
That's right. Milo, unfortunately, I can sit and listen to you because you inspire me all day long. I got to catch a flight. Milo is going to be doing his live shows, UC San Diego, also E30 in Los Angeles. That's June.
E3.
Oh, sorry. E3. And our Vinny show, quick correction, is July
14th.
Correct.
Although, just to be fair, the paper says June.
We have a show June 14th, and Vinny has a show July 14th.
We'll warm it up for you, Vin.
Funny when we were making fun of
and Milo has a show
Kalen being
June 14th.
out of it. I was reading the wrong date that he prepared on my cheat sheet.
Come on, Kalen.
Live admonishment.
That's right.
Terrifying.
Best way to go. The new podcast, it's available. It's Milo's podcast. It's available on Fridays on iTunes as well. I wish we had more time, Milo, but
been lovely to come in again. Thank you for having me.
I love having you on the show.
Thank
Breath
you so much.
of fresh air. Us live shows everywhere. Go to AdamCarolla.com. We're coming to a town near you. Until next time, this is Adam from Milo and Gina and Vinny and Bald saying mahalo.